Hello my soccer universe, the first title this season has been handed out and it goes to Newcastle, ending a lengthy title drought for the Toon Army and of course huge celebrations, and we'll talk about this in the video as well. If you look here at the background, there are very unusual colors, telling you we had kind of an unusual weekend. It was of course headlined by the big Atletico against Barcelona clash, but we also had Le Classique in France and some other big games as well. If you want to know more about the Austrian Bundesliga, I've made a video right here, not the cheeriest one, last didn't make it in the top 6. And also, if you want to see more about Serie A, there's a dedicated Serie A video there. It's crazy in Serie A, although the title seemingly is decided. What else was going on in Europe before we jump in? We had in Germany and in the Netherlands the gap reduced to 6 points, so potentially a title race may be on. Round 26 in the Eredivisie gave us a couple of big name fixtures, however it's all a prelude to the potential title decider right after the international break. But one by one, Utrecht keep falling. They lose at home to Nijmegen thanks to an 82nd minute Van Crooij penalty, and so Utrecht at the moment do not look likely to qualify for the Champions League and might even fall back into the playoffs. PSV on the other side keep hitting back, keep the pressure up on Ajax, get an easy 3-0 away win at Waalwijk, Perisic, Noah Lang and De Jong scoring the 3 goals. Feyenoord put themselves in a really good position using the loss by Utrecht to get themselves into the playoffs for the Champions League. They win 6-2 at Twente. That is a result I did not see coming, winning each half 3-1. Ueda Peshao in the Ueda by the 23rd minute had already opened up a 3-0 lead. Stein scores again 2 goals for Twente, one to make it 1-3, the other one to 2-5. Peshao completes his hat-trick with a brace in the second half and adds also to his assist on the second Ueda goal by assisting the 6th one too. But all eyes were of course at the big Europa League clash. Both teams have been eliminated. There is no Eredivisie team left in Europe between Ajax and AZ. Ajax playing in those beautiful anniversary jerseys, but they only are held to a 2-2 draw. Had to come back twice from a deficit. Burmist in the 52nd opened the scoring for AZ, who also played in a specialty jersey. Hey, in the 58th equalized. Then Hey and Penetra are sent off in the 74th minute. Sadiq gives AZ another lead in the 83rd. However, Edwardson equalizes again 2 minutes later. So whenever a goal was scored shortly thereafter, Ajax could get an equalizer. This means now that on top of the table, Ajax only have a 6-point lead, and that might be down to 3 after the next round. With a fully deserved 1-0 win over Hoffenheim, St. Pauli increased the distance to the relegation spot to 5 points, so this looks like safety. Hoffenheim also 6 points away from it, might be safe. I don't quite believe it. Augsburg keep on rolling. They get a 1-0 win over Wolfsburg and are now drawing level on points with their opponents. Tietz getting the winning goal in the 53rd minute. Mainz also continued their good form, managing a 2-2 draw against Freiburg. However, that is not a disappointing 2-2 draw. True, they had the lead through Burkhardt, however had also Kor sent off in the 43rd minute, and so it was Freiburg who brought on Gregoritsch at halftime that had the upper hand in that second half. Gregoritsch duly gets the equals in the 50th minute. In the 74th, though, Hansche Olsen re-establishes the lead for Mainz, and Kübler in the 79th then equalizes again. Mainz still on track for a Champions League place. While Bayern looked undeniable in the Champions League, they looked very slow in their game at Union Berlin, only managing a 1-1 draw. Leroy Sané had given them the lead very late in the 75th minute. You thought, yeah, that's another 3 points for Bayern. However, then their goalie placed the ball right into Hollerbach, who in the 84th minute manages an equalizer. Werder cannot really continue their bounce back after the big win in Leverkusen. Yes, they pegged Gladbach with a 2-0 lead through a player brace to 2-2 just before the halftime. Romano Schmidt and an Andre Silva penalty getting that score. However, Alassane Plea in the 47th re-establishes the lead for Gladbach, and then he even assists Kleindienst, who gets then also sent off with a second yellow card late on. Gladbach looking at European spots. In the evening game, Leipzig opened up a 2-0 lead over Dortmund, putting Dortmund under more pressure. However, Dortmund actually did create some chances and probably should have gotten more of the game. The goals came by Simons and Openda. The early Sunday game between Bochum and Frankfurt had to be postponed because of all the banners that the Frankfurt fans were hanging and thus making the exits from the sector not very usable. Frankfurt though get a big win. It's a 3-1 away win at Bochum. Christensen and Bahoya opening up a 2-0 lead. Then Holtmann, the 73rd, pulls one back, and Bochum, who had been in real good form, had good chances. However, Santos, who had this howler last season against Mainz, had a really great save in there as well. And then Batshuayi in the 96 seals the deal. Important 3 points for Frankfurt, who are also on track for a Champions League spot. In the bottom of the table duel, Heidenheim beat Holstein Kiel 3-1 and thus handing the last spot to their opponents. But we're saving best for last. Stuttgart against Leverkusen was one of those games that you'll be talking about for a long time. Stuttgart scored with their first real chance through the Mirovic in the 15th minute and more or less had the game under control. And when Woltemade in the 48th made it 2-0, no one even thought that Leverkusen may come back. Frimpong though, 56, pulls one back almost immediately. And the Mirovic shot is parried by Gradecki, however it hits Xhaka and it goes into net. It really seemed like a Stuttgart is meant to win this game. But Hincapie in the 67th makes it 3-2, and then it was an absolutely crazy end to the game in the 80th minute. Stiller deflects a Boniface shot into his own net, so scores are level, and then Frimpong crosses in and Schick scores the win in the 94th minute. And Leverkusen reduced the deficit to 6 points and still are slightly talking about a title defense. By beating Liverpool 2-1 at Wembley, Newcastle end a 7-decade national title drought, and it's the first title since winning the Fairs Cup in '69. That's the predecessor of the UEFA Cup, which is of course the predecessor of the Europa League, and it was fully deserved. Dan Burn gave Newcastle the lead in the 45th minute with a header from the edge of the box, completely left alone after Trippier corner. And then in the second half they quickly wanted to decide that game. Isak had already a goal disallowed for offside. Just a minute later he's assisted by Murphy to make it 2-0 in the 52nd, and Liverpool woke up way too late. Newcastle largely outplayed Liverpool. Only late on, Chiesa can pull one back in the 94th minute. It was way too little too late, and so it's the Toon Army that are celebrating at Wembley, and a rough week for the Reds. Due to the League Cup Final, we only had 8 matches this weekend in the Premier League. The first one was, of course, the David Moyes derby, where David Moyes' current club, Everton, salvages a draw at home against West Ham thanks to O'Brien equaliser in the 91st minute. Nottingham Forest are really set to finish in the top 4. Actually, top 5 is enough for the English team. So Forest will return to the Champions League, and I know they never have played in the Champions League, but they have played in the predecessor and won it twice, as their crest proclaims. They get a 4-2 away win at Ipswich. Ipswich is a nicely playing team, but Forest are just a top team at the moment, a great counter-attacking team. Milenkovic, Elanga with a brace, and Jota Silva scoring the 4 goals. It was another disappointing afternoon for Manchester City, a 2-2 draw at home to Brighton, despite twice having a lead. Haaland with a penalty, and Marmoush at the halftime was 2-1, as Stupinian had actually equalized for Brighton in between. Then a Kusanov on the 48th minute gives again the point to Brighton, who then were pressing for even winning that one. Also has to be said, there was a little bit of a experimental lineup by Pep again. City may not make it in the top 5, although I think they might just. Wolves may sit in the last place before the relegation zone. However, they sit so comfortably, having a 9-point cushion, also thanks to a 2-1 away win at Southampton. Both goals for Wolves came through Larson, one in the first, one in the second half, and Onuachu pulls one back in the 75th. The late kickoff on Saturday saw the Hipsters duel between Bournemouth and Brentford, and it's the Bees who win it. It's a comeback win because they were down through an own goal. However, Wissa and Norgard turn it around. Arsenal reduced their deficit to Liverpool to a measly 12 points thanks to a 1-0 home win over Chelsea. However, that game was not much to talk home about. Merino gets the winning goal, Arsenal then not creating much, and Chelsea incapable of creating anything. 2 late goals by Rodrigo Muniz and Sessegnon hand Spurs another loss. Yes, they come back from a European campaign, but it really looks like this season is a lost one for Spurs, and Ange might actually be walking. On the other hand, United had a great week. This time they win at Leicester after ousting Real Sociedad in the midweek, and it was all that you would expect. It was an easy 3-0 win. Haaland and Garnacho even scoring, and Bruno Fernandes, who else is also getting in on the score sheet. PSG might already be champions, not mathematically, but practically they are. But the race for the Champions League spots and the Europa League spots is really, really tight in Ligue 1. And if it wasn't for PSG, Ligue 1 might be the tightest league in all of Europe. It's also tight because Nice suffer a setback at home, only 1-1 against Auxerre, conceding the equalizer in stoppage time after being reduced to 10 men. Setback also for Lille, who really have not yet digested the exit to Dortmund at home in the Champions League. They were a man up from the 74th minute on and still not get the winner through Mustafa Mohamed in the 83rd minute. Huge points also for Nantes, who are steering towards safety. Monaco, meanwhile, moved back into third spot. That's the last fixed Champions League spot in Ligue 1, thanks to two late goals. Of course, Mika Bireth is on the score sheet as well, and then an Akliouche penalty in the 88th minute seals the 3 points at Angers. Lens might be the first team that might not go into Europe. However, they get a 1-0 home win over Rennes. Completely different story though for Olympique Lyonnais. They get a 4-2 home win against Le Havre, coming back from a 2-1 deficit at the halftime break. Le Havre were actually well in the game, but it's then Fofana and Mikadadze with one of the greatest goals this weekend that turned around in the 78th and the 82nd minute, and late on an own goal makes it 4-2. We also had our first postponement in France in the bottom Classico, if you would like, between Montpellier and Saint-Etienne. Saint-Etienne had a 2-0 lead in the 61st minute and a man less when Montpellier Ultras threw flares onto the pitch, and as a safety for all the spectators and the players could not be guaranteed, the game was called off again. It's the first postponement in Ligue 1 this season. Strasbourg are also very much in contention for a European spot with a comeback win at home against Toulouse. 1-0 down at the halftime. They turned around quickly after the halftime break through Le Maréchal and André Santos. Last year's surprise team Brest will also not make it into Europe this season. They only managed a 0-0 draw at home against relegation-threatened Reims. And then in the evening we were treated to Le Classique, where PSG get a 3-1 win over OM, but all the glory that was shown at Liverpool was not present there. PSG won because they were the better team, and Dembélé, of course, opening and scoring. Nuno Mendes in the 42nd minute making it 2-0. Guiri actually pulls one back for OM right after the half, and you thought maybe they could get into the game, but then it's an own goal by Lirola that seals the deal for PSG. In the end, it's an easy 3-1 win. There were, of course, some ugly chances against Rabiot, who was Parisien, vowed to never play for OM. That's exactly what he did. The past La Liga round was all about Atleti meeting Barcelona, which was the last game. But there were quite a few goals scored before that as well, and quite some interesting results. La Liga is also the first league to come back after the national break, with Barcelona taking on Osasuna already on Thursday, which also means that the game between Athletic Club and Osasuna, which was then scheduled for Friday, will definitely not happen there. So watch your local listings for that one. But let's run you through the results. Las Palmas were 2-0 down at home to Alaves. However, they managed a late draw thanks to a 90th minute penalty by Fabio Silva, and then Molero in the 95th minute gets the equalizer. Already relegated Real Valladolid lose at home 1-0 to Celta de Vigo, with Alonso scoring the winning goal through a penalty in the 83rd minute. A result that keeps Celta very much in the fight for European spaces. Mallorca is also eyeing Europe thanks to a 2-1 home win over Espanyol. All goals came in the second half, with the winning goal being a 97th minute Murici penalty. Real Madrid were not happy to play on Saturday, less than 72 hours after their big game against Atletico Madrid in the Champions League. However, played they had to, and they found themselves down in the 7th minute through a Foyt goal. However, Mbappé then, even in the first half with two quick attacks, 17th and 23rd minute, turns it around, and Real Madrid get a rare win at Villarreal. Then the Sunday evening game saw Valencia grab another point, this time from Girona, who are slowly sinking. I think they might be alright in terms of relegation, but at the moment their form does not look good. Lopez gave Valencia the lead in 58th minute, 64th minute, Christian Stuani equalizes. Leganés looked like they had halted Betis' surge into the European spots, holding a 2-0 halftime lead through two Raba goals. However, in the second half, it's first an Isco penalty that makes the game tighter, and then Bacambo and Cucho Hernandez turn it fully around for Betis. The other Seville team, Sevilla, suffer a overall deserved 1-0 home defeat to Athletic Club, a result that could have been worse as Vesca missed a penalty in stoppage time of the first half. The winning goal came late in the 84th minute through Alvarez. In a mid-table duel, Osasuna, who had so much time to prepare for this one game, were 1-0 up through a Budimir penalty, former Lask player, never forget about that, but Terrata in the second half with a brace turns it around for Getafe. There's a slight chance that Rayo will end up in European spaces. However, it would have been better if they would have beaten La Real, who came off that big defeat at Old Trafford. Zubimendi gave La Real the lead. However, Trejo and Diaz turned it around 72nd minute. Rayo hold the lead. Then Mari Cuarana in the 80th gets the equalizer for La Sociedad. But as I said, it was all about Atletico Madrid against Barcelona. And this game has delivered so far this season. And this one also delivered. What a mad game overall. I mean, the first half was dominated by Barcelona without creating too many great chances, but it was Atleti that take the lead in the 45th minute. A beautiful attack where Giuliano Simeone actually could already have shot on goal, but he finds Julian Alvarez in an even better position. Also a tricky finish, but he gets it home. It's a 1 lead for Atletico Madrid. And kudos to Giuliano Simeone, because most would have shot in this position. He found the better man. This is a rare quality these days. For most of the second half, then Barcelona were really struggling to break down Atletico Madrid, and they were always susceptible to a counter-attack, though they had the upper hand for most of the time. But when Sørloth then, after a nice Gallagher assist, makes it 2-0, no one gave a cent on Barcelona of winning that one, but almost immediately Lewandowski pulls one back with a brilliant move, chasing it down and shooting it in such a rapid sequence that was true world class. And just 6 minutes later, Ferran Torres deflects a Rafinha shot, a thunderous Rafinha shot, or was it a cross, into it, and it's 2-2. And the game is very much level and very open as well. But you already felt that Barcelona has the upper hand. Lamine Yamal did not have his greatest game. However, he got the decisive goal in the 92nd minute. Yes, it was badly deflected, but it's a go-ahead goal in the 92nd minute. And Ferran Torres, 6 minutes later, adds a fourth. Barcelona score for the second time in a row 4 goals against Atleti. That is almost unheard of. And Liga Portugal go into the international break with a typical Liga Portugal round. All the top teams winning because no one was facing each other. That means Braga 1-0 win at Farense thanks to a Martinez goal in the 70th minute. Braga keeping up with Porto. But Porto also get a win at home against AVS. Mora opens the scoring or in the 18th minute, and AVS is reduced to 10 men just at the beginning of the second half, and Vieira adds a second one. Leader Sporting probably had the toughest opponent, get a 3-1 home win over Famalicão. Fresneda already opens the scoring in the first minute. Then Aranda equalizes in the 35th, however in the second half a Gyökeres penalty and Catamo, assisted by Gyökeres, see it out. However, Araujo was also sent off with a red card in the 80th minute. The closest team to slipping up was Benfica. They had a 2-0 lead at Rio Ave. Kökçü and Pavlidis in the 53rd minute. However, Aguilar and Clayton by the 75th minute had pulled level with Benfica, and then needed a late Akçakoglu strike in the 80th minute. And so we go into the international break. Unlike other resources, the My Soccer Universe will not stay quiet during the international break. I will put, of course, a focus on the Nations League playoffs, but also World Cup qualifying gets underway in Europe. So this will be a focus, but we may talk about a larger picture as well. This was quite an exciting weekend. We are back already on Thursday after the international break, because in Portugal and in Spain they're having some makeup fixtures. But for now, please let me know what you thought about the past weekend, the first title for Newcastle, the big comeback by Barcelona, and so on and so forth. Drop a line below. Give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video. Subscribe to my channel if you want to see more videos like these, and I will talk to you soon about more things in my soccer universe. Bye! Hey there! I really hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, here are some videos and playlists that you may enjoy too. Also, please consider subscribing to my channel and hit the little bell icon so you get notified whenever something happens in my soccer universe. And with that, have a wonderful day. Bye!